Hi guys, welcome to Rita's Indian Kitchen, and the reason I'm doing this video is because a lot of the customers at Kextel Abbey have been asking how to make a chickpea curry at home. So to kick off, I'm going to show you what I think is the best way to peel a ginger. Now if you use a teaspoon and all you're doing is literally just scraping the skin off the ginger, and the reason for this is because A, it's safer, and if you want to get kids involved you can get them to do it, and B, you're sort of maximising the ginger because it comes in all different shapes and sizes. So once you've peeled it, you can then just chop it up, and what I suggest you use is a pestle and mortar, which you can sort of bash to a pulp, and that's what will go into the chickpea curry. Okay, so start off with, we've just got the gas on the saucepan and we're just going to put some oil into the pan. Now approximately, it depends on the size of the pan, so I usually put about 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil or sunflower oil, anything that's going to be reach to a higher temperature, but not olive oil for Indian cooking. And if you have a look into the pan, you can see that there's approximately, I'd say, about 1 centimetre in height of the oil. So it just needs to cover the base of the pan. Straight away from there, what you want to do is you want to put your cumin seeds in. Okay, so a teaspoon should be sufficient enough. I might just put a teaspoon and a half actually. And once they start dancing, okay, when they start spluttering, that's when we're going to add the onions. Now if you have a look to what ingredients we've got, so we've got fresh coriander, which is nicely chopped, we've got tinned tomatoes, we've got onions that have been diced, the ginger and the garlic, which we've done in the pestle and mortar, and I've just used the cumin seeds. We've got turmeric, which is a very good it's health benefits, so it's really good for people with cancer, and it doesn't really add a lot of flavour, it's more for colour and for the health benefits. Then we've got the chili powder, and then the famous Rita's Indian Kitchen homemade authentic garam masala. And we've got some chickpeas, which are straight from the tin. And what we've done with the chickpeas is we've drained all the water out that it contains in, and then we've rinsed the chickpeas to get any of the starch out as well. Okay, so you can see straight away that the cumin seeds have already started to move about a bit, and you can see they're slightly sizzling. So at this point you can add the onions. Now what I've done here, depending on the size of the saucepan, I've used approximately 2 to 3 onions which have been chopped. And you just want to give that a good mix. Now this part of the curry, and it's like with any sort of curry, this is the most important part. And what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you're on a high flame and you want to brown the onions. And that's what we're going to be doing. So that'll take probably between maybe about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on the size of the pan and how many onions you're using. Okay, as you can see, so the onions have started to brown, and what you've got to keep on doing though for about sort of 5-10 minutes is keep mixing it, because you don't want it to catch on the bottom, and you want to get them caramelized without burning them. So this is, now we're at the stage which is where the onions have browned, and we're going to add the ginger and the garlic. And you want to sort of cook the ginger and garlic only for a couple of minutes. And how you know is you'll keep stirring. You'll hear it sizzle because of the temperature and from the water, natural water from the ginger and the garlic. And you want to sort of bring that together, and you want to cook out the raw ginger and garlic. 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what we've done is I've just put the gas up a little bit more, because you can do, because obviously naturally when you add in the garlic and ginger the temperature will drop. And I'm just cooking it through, and you can see the water that's actually coming out from the garlic and ginger. Now at this point I'm going to start to add my spices. So we're going to start off with the turmeric, and I'm only going to go for sort of half a teaspoon, and when you put it into it, just make sure you sprinkle it all the way around and give it a tap. And once you put the turmeric in, just give it a mix, and you'll see that the colour of the yellow. Next we're going to go with the chili powder, and depending on how hot you want it. Now I haven't put fresh chilies into this because the chili powder is just as spicy, but you can actually put fresh chilies in if you want to when you put the garlic and ginger. So I'm going to go for sort of a teaspoon of, or maybe 3/4, so I'll just sprinkle that in, and again mix that up and make sure it's all dissolved. Now you'll feel that it's catching a little bit at the bottom, which is nothing to worry about as long as you use your wooden spoon to scrape off all those little bits, and when we add the tomatoes it will naturally just take off the bottom. Okay, and then finally we'll go in with the garam masala, the homemade authentic Rita's Indian Kitchen. So I'm going to start with 1 teaspoon, and I think I'm going to put another teaspoon in as well. And you can see the colour coming together, and you'll smell in the air all the aromas of India. So make sure you keep mixing. You've got to keep mixing, especially at the bottom. This is the most important part of any sort of curry basis, and what you want to get is what we call the tadka, is you want to get that right. Once you get that right, you can add whatever you want to your curry base. Okay, so you can see that it's frying away. Now I'm going to add the tomatoes, so it'll sizzle slightly. I'm just going to add a little bit more. Keep mixing, keep mixing. The temperature, you can hear the sizzling has stopped. You can see the colour, you can see obviously from the turmeric that's come through. So I'm just going to leave that now on a medium heat. And what you're looking for, the key part of this cooking, is to make sure that the oil, which we started off with, rises to the top. Okay, so the base of the curry is coming along quite nicely, so we're just going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Now what I tend to do is I always tend to put a small amount of salt to begin with, and then when you taste the curry with the chickpeas, then you can always add a little bit more. So always try a little bit first, and then you can always add more to it. Okay, so as you can see, because we've got a small pan here, it's actually cooking quite fast. And if you look carefully, you can see at the side, you see the oil that's all risen to the top. At this point, you're ready to rock and roll, guys. So what you need to do is add your chickpeas. Now, it depends. I mean, when we do it on the store, we use sort of 4 large tins. I think that should be enough for this saucepan, and you can make it as thick or you can make it as watery as you want to do. What you want to do now is, once you've done your tadka, which is, you know, the basis of the curry, and you've added your chickpeas, you just want to make sure you're mixing and incorporating all those lovely juicy bits from the bottom and coating it. And you want to cook that for just a couple of minutes, just to make sure everything is coated well. Okay, so what we've done so far is we've added the chickpeas and we've mixed it all up, and you can see that there's some of the sauces which is at the bottom. At this point now, we're going to add the water. Now, the way to add the water is you start off with the wooden spoon, and you're going to almost clean the wooden spoon because you've got all the onions and everything on there. Then start by pouring the water on the sides of the pan, because you're scraping all the chickpea curry down at the bottom, and then give it a mix. Now it's entirely up to you. Some people like it watery, some people prefer it thick, and don't worry if you do put too much water in, because what you can actually do is you can crush some of the chickpeas to the side of the pan and then mix it, and it will actually thicken the curry part. So I'm just going to add a little bit more water and just give it a mix. And I think I'm just gonna I'm just feeling it how I want it. I might put a little bit more water in. So just trying to get the edges really. And the great thing about the chickpea curry as well is it's one of your 5 a day. It's high in protein, it's vegan, and it's gluten and wheat free as well. And I know my son, he loves it, and he's 2 and 3 months, and he loves his chickpea curry, and it just makes me happy as a mother knowing that he's getting all those health benefits. Okay, so what we've done now is we've just put it on a simmer with a lid on for about 5 to 7 minutes, and finally what we're going to do is, I've just tasted it and it needs a little bit more salt, so I'm going to add sort of another teaspoon of salt. Okay, and that should be enough. Give it a really good stir, and then from here, finally, I'm going to garnish with coriander. Now it's up to you, you don't have to have coriander if you don't like it, but I think it just gives that fresh element taste. And that's the Rita's Indian Kitchen chickpea curry. Thanks for listening, guys.